and 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 Minister Schreiber. Now, Minister Schreiber is looking for some few cents. I said to Minister Schreiber, you, the two of you, are to blame, my DM and you. Because if you accepted my 5%, I had all of this thing budgeted for. Just 0.5. So we have got, all of us, a responsibility to arrest this, and this is in our hands. Thus, we need to grow the economy as a collective by creating opportunities for firms to grow and locate in our country and cities. We still say in our country because whether they are in those cities, they're still in our country, but in the final analysis, they choose the city. This is highly dependent on our ability to strengthen our network industries. And we're doing that. In the last 40 years, we've observed underinvestment in key network industries: water, sanitation, and electricity. This has not only created a backlog, but it has also led to an inability to continue to connect more households and firms to network. It has also created an inability to position our cities as the most efficient providers of reliable water, sanitation, and electricity. So let me just pause. You know, I grew up in Thokoza, which is closer to Katlong. Katlong was established when they were moved from it to Katole due to what is this thing? The Act, the Group Areas Act. They were moved in 1950 from Katole to Katlong. Katlong, those sections that were established in 1950 are still using that infrastructure. I can say that about any townships, whether it's in the Western Cape, as we joke in Xhosa in Cape Town, we say, Umkhulu, you are big as like Langa when Langa was in Wendabi. Now, I'm making this point, colleagues, that I'm thinking about a discussion in government, not in the speech, deliberately, that it definitely can't, the current financing arrangement, deal with those backlogs. We need a fundamental shift to do that. When was Soweto established? When they moved from when they moved to, what was from that place? Sophia Town. You can imagine those people who moved from Sophia Town now, and look at that infrastructure, it's old, it's pasty. That thing needs to be addressed by government as a whole. Not necessarily say we leave it to the mayors. How, I don't know. How, I don't know. We need to work collectively to address this underinvestment, which has not only created, which has made our cities not to be attractive for investment, but also create financial challenges for some municipalities. In addition, our metros cannot approve developments in specific areas such as Lanseria, Mooikloof, and some West Coast in Cape Town, simply because there's no sufficient bulk capacity. As a result, property development has not grown substantially, thus leading to economy not benefiting from potential multiple effects in this sector. Again, let me pause. I said, it's difficult to understand why we cannot finance a bulk infrastructure, because by its nature it's revenue generating. If a municipality cannot do that, then we've got to find a way of helping that municipality to get that infrastructure funded, instead of choking development. This means that the metros cannot collect additional money in the form of proper tax rates from potential developments, and also not be able to add paying customers to water and electricity business, considering the declining water and electricity margins, which we are fully aware due to the double digits of bulk purchases. Municipalities are in a difficult position. This is a trend that we cannot continue to be spectators to. We need to arrest this in the interest of our country. I know people said, no, economy happens in a municipality when you become possessive. Economy is in the municipality, but it's in a country. That municipality is in a country. So you will talk about your cities. I'm a national minister, I must also talk about the country. So, at the national government, we've looked at this challenge, and instead of pointing fingers at metros, we've rather decided to take some steps to arrest the decline and underinvestment. This is through the conceptualization and formulation of motor trading services reform and restructuring of the grant system by including performance incentives. Our approach is to work with you in a complementary way by creating an incentive-based grant for trading services. This will create accountability and predictability in grant allocation to metros and national government, respectively. Our vision is to use the incentive to ignite investment in metros, your areas of jurisdiction. Thus, our expectation is that through these incentives, your respective metros will invest additional money on this targeted infrastructure through borrowing and internal generated funds. In addition, we also expect the Urban Settlement Development Grant should start to be directed to invest in this critical infrastructure. We need to be intentional in igniting our economy. We need to strengthen the network industries. At the national level, our intentions are clear through this reform. We have committed funds in the form of grants to you. We will continue to allocate more resources in subsequent years. We want to partner with you through investment on the infrastructure that has been positive and economic on its special implications. I'm just thinking, when I'm saying we're going to provide you more resources, hey! It's a daunting task. It's a daunting task. If I tell you the truth, demands are growing on the system. The revenue base is not growing. Borrowing is at an optimal level. You can't go beyond that. I can't tax anybody over the next 4 years. That poses then the challenge where will the resources come from. But my team is still optimistic that we can do these things. But the main thing we're not doing, from national to lower level, we're not asking ourselves, what are the key things we need to do? What are the things we can do without? Those trade-offs are difficult. Those trade-offs are difficult. We don't do that. If you look at how much provinces are pouring into their state-owned enterprises, whereas the economic activity in the weighting for provinces in the formula is about 1%. But the amount of money they're pouring into that stuff then squeezes the resources from other services. We have another imperative, which is in the Constitution, to ensure a progressive realization of the so-called economic rights. And those rights largely sit with provinces and municipalities. But they take us to court. They don't take you with that. But I'm saying, when we make these choices, we've got to say what is necessary, what is not necessary. I wanted to use some examples, but I want to have a meeting that is smooth, so I'm not going to do that. I was elated recently when you met in Cape Town to discuss common issues that affect the metros. I wish to implore you to continue with this initiative and be intentional in discussing common issues such as the implementation of this reform. Of importance to us will be to harness key policy reforms which will enable metros to function better. The Metro Trading Service is one area where you can immediately learn together and collaborate. If we work collectively towards implementing this reform, the way we have designed it, it will not only unlock the economy, it will also improve your financial position and economy. This will be instrumental in improving Metro financial position and reducing dependence on the national government grants in particular. Yeah. We should reposition the fortunes of our metros and country by restoring and sustaining electricity, water, and sanitation, and solid water waste services in metros through institutional and financial reforms. The crux of this reform require metros to drive and strengthen institutional reforms. For far too long, we have managed the trading services as departments and erode accountability by splitting various functions across our municipalities. Even in municipalities that have entities, we have disintegrated those entities into departments by taking some functions to elsewhere in the municipalities. We need to collapse this split in responsibility and ensure that we establish a fully integrated trading services that are responsive to our sophisticated economy. We also need to commit not only to hiring competent people, but also giving them full responsibility, run an integrated businesses. As Newman, not in metros, but I had stories in municipalities lower than metros, that if we are You can just take a teacher and become a municipal manager. I hold teachers in high regard, but there's the way they can progress, not by going to a function which is complex. If Dada were to ask me to run CTTIP, I would say, thank you, Dada, thank you for your confidence, but I can't take it. But I can't, because I can't do it. Councils need to ensure that it does not only split the responsibility to continue to hamstrung municipality to establish utilities of the future. In addition, councils also need to ensure that competent people with engineering and business acumen are hired in this position. We should not make the mistake that ESCOM made by hiring people, lack of combination of trading service and business acumen. The reform will assist to address years of underinvestment that erode service delivery, strain municipal finances, had an impact on the quality of life for residents and reduce economic growth potential. We wish to see thriving cities that attract investment and self-generated revenue through the Metro's trading system. As a collective, we will position our country to a new growth. Maybe some of these services can be provided cheaper. I live in two expensive municipalities. Two expensive municipalities, Ekurhuleni and Buffalo City. Those are my municipalities are pay rates in those two municipalities. Is Doctor here?
He's looking at you.
He was phoning me, and I said, please don't tell me about traffic. Traffic is an everyday thing in Gauteng. You must budget for it. Well, include it in your time when you are going somewhere. I'm saying these two, I don't know others. Others are complaining too much, even in their own municipalities. I work in Sane. I've got a number of problems in my office. And another thing is that everyone who wants to do a toy every day, there's a toy across my building. Ladies and gentlemen, I must then acknowledge the mayors. I did greet them, but I must acknowledge them now. From these, how many metros? Eh? Oh, I thought you were 5. I thought you were 5. I can see Ekurhuleni Mayor, Doctor here. I can see Gauteng Mayor, Seat of Johannesburg. No, yeah. Seat of Johannesburg Mayor, Dada Murewa. I can see Seat of Cape Town Mayor, Lewis. I can see City of Durban Mayor. Where's Buffalo City? What? Nelson Mandela. I can see Nelson Mandela. Baba Lloyd there. I saw Princess coming in. Where's? Oh, Buffalo City. Where's Mangaung? I can see Mangaung. Which another? Yeah? I can see the mayor, yeah. I said, sorry. Even Harasile, I can't tell people. Okay, Swane, who else? That's it. Is that number 8? Oh, okay. Now, on a serious note, colleagues, we would like to corroborate in whatever way with metros. From where we come from our own position, I don't know how you work with other departments, but I can assure that from national government, metros are a critical area of work. If we don't keep an eye on metros, we're not keeping an eye on South Africa, because that's where everything happens. Those viewers, I thank you for honoring this invitation. And it's a honor for me to have all the 8 mayors in the room. Thank you very much. What? If bureaucrats, oh, okay.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Minister Madiba Ikotongwane, to Deputy Minister Sarupin and Deputy Minister Sitlul and all our mayors, MMCs, and the senior leadership from the National Treasury. At this stage, I've been hijacked by Madiba because I must comply. Just to convey our sincere gratitude that even our ministry were a directly and indirectly affected stakeholder on this matter, because it's an important matter. But at this stage, I will ask our hard-working DDG to come and make a presentation on the Metro Trading Services reforms, so that we are all on the same page on the context of this important work that we must do to support you, so that you can discharge your responsibilities to grow our economy, but also meet the basic needs of our people, creating jobs and doing all the most important issues we've agreed as national priorities in the medium-term development plan. Let's give our DDG a round of applause. She will take us through the presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, Minister, DMs, mayors, CMs, and all senior government officials in this room. My name is Ukhalalitseng Khaarekwe. From National Treasury, heading the Intergovernmental Relations Division. So we're going to make a short presentation today on this reform. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Yes. So I think Minister made the point this morning about the importance of the cities play in the South African economy. So now the question before us is, how do we turn the declining services into a platform for growth and trust? And I must say that our cities matter. As you know, that 22 million people are staying in these cities, which is about 35% of the population of South Africa. However, in terms of generating of the economy, 60% of the economy is generated within the city. So therefore, city plays a critical role in our economy. And we must acknowledge that really this reform originates from the request from the cities. It's not really our own doing. So we did get requests to say, can you please extend the support that you offer, which is offered by our program called City Support Program, to turn around city water services, your electricity and solid waste services. We listened when the city managers and the CFO made that request. But it's also clear that we needed to strengthen our support beyond the technical assistance that we'll provide to you. With the need for urgent and sustained action, we need to align finance incentives to the implementation of the turnaround strategies. So you can see that we recognize that there is a crisis within metros. So, and if we are not gonna change things, we're gonna be in a death spiral. So trading services, which is your water, sanitation, electricity and solid waste, are really under severe pressure. Years of underinvestment, and obviously, I mean, you have seen that the cities have grown compared to where they were. I mean, Minister made the point about Katlehong and where they were moved and all of that, and Soweto and Sapphire Town. So obviously, as communities grow, households numbers grow, there is pressure on the system. But also split accountability and weak management has both eroded both service delivery and municipal services. And the root causes are structural. That split accountability, poor financial transparency, weak governance, and declining management capacity are the challenges. And these failures have led to weak revenue, poor investment choices, and inability, obviously, to reinvest the revenue that you generate from these services into this infrastructure that you need. Therefore, the infrastructure is underfunded, and that has resulted really, I mean, it's a cycle. As you don't invest, and then the infrastructure gets dilapidated, you can generate more revenue, there's less money for maintenance and investment. And this is a negative reinforcing cycle that requires urgent intervention. And I think Minister made the point about the fact that our fiscal position is constrained and we need to get existing resources to work more effectively. And you know that obviously we've been providing conditional grants to you, but we're at the point where we feel like that more grants alone will not solve this problem. So we've reviewed the conditional grants, and we continue to do. In the current financial year, we're reviewing the infrastructure grants, which some of them are in the metro space. And this has called for systemic changes to the way grants operate in order to get outcomes that citizens and businesses need to grow the economy. I mean, for example, for water alone, we're spending about 60 billion rents annually. But we still have challenges in this country where people don't have water. But without reforms, the money is being poured into a leaking bucket. So therefore, we need to really change how we do things. Institutional reforms are needed that result in better investment choices. We cannot continue doing the same things and expecting different results. So therefore, that's why we have the view that we were moving towards incentive-based, grants where, I mean, performance needs to be at the forefront. So the wider context of local government reform, including the current review of the white paper and the fiscal framework, is setting the scene for us to review the assumptions that have been made about how we fund local government. How we fund local government. So that we can improve in terms of how we're being efficient as a country in implementing these reforms. So that's gonna really be important. So with the Metro Trading Services reform, so essentially what we're doing is we're piloting even how the grant system moving forward will work by having this performance-based grant that we have started to implement from 1 July this year. So Anthea Stevens, our reform lead for this Metro Trading Services, will come now and present the next few slides. Thank you, Anthea. Yes.
Thank you, DDG. Colleagues, trading services are large infrastructure-intensive operations, and to deliver services sustainably, affordably, and equitably, they need to be managed using an integrated utility approach with leadership and management that is accountable for service outcomes. But at present, trading services do the opposite. They drain municipal finances instead of supporting them, and this undermines the ability of local government to deliver services to households. Why? Because of a fragmented approach to these services. They're not being managed in an integrated, accountable way. Weak governance and fragmented accountability have left services underperforming and underfunded. Without a structural fix, metros will remain locked in poor services and weak finances. The trading services reform is about ensuring an integrated and accountable approach to managing these core basic services. Trading services are services such as electricity, water, sanitation, and waste that are funded through service charges. They need to be run like large-scale utilities. Properly managed trading services need to generate a surplus after covering costs. The surplus, as DDG mentioned, funds reinvestment in infrastructure, service improvements, and also contributes to the rates account that supports community services. We recognize that some services depend on property rates, while other services, trading services, need to be managed in a way that generates revenue. Grants are supplementary to income, to municipal-owned revenue. We also need to recognize that the markets associated with these services, particularly in energy, have changed, and these changes have significant implications for the role of municipalities in service delivery. None of this takes away the need for trading services to make a contribution to the general account or for subsidized services for poor households. This is necessary for developmental local government and possible in well-run services. This brings us to the Metro Trading Services reform, which is a flagship reform under Phase 2 of Operation Vulindlela. Its purpose is to restore and sustain electricity, water, sanitation, and solid waste services in metros through institutional reform, financial transparency, and performance-linked investment. The central tool is a 6-year, 54 billion rand performance-based incentive grant, supported by technical assistance. This is money for performance, not promises. For every 1 rand in grant support, metros are expected to leverage 1 rand of their own investment, whether from improved revenue or own borrowing. Together, this is expected to unlock 108 billion rand for infrastructure investment. This is necessary for improved service reliability, quality, and sustainability. It is also an enabler of spatial transformation and economic inclusion and growth. Access to the incentive is conditional. Metros must adopt council-approved improvement plans. They must commit to 8 minimum accountability commitments and undergo independent annual verification of performance against targets in their improvement plans. And importantly, metros with adverse or disclaimed audit outcomes will be excluded. Metro investment in infrastructure is failing, and the incentive grant is designed to turn that around. Institutional reform is the foundation of accessing incentive finance and leveraging investment in infrastructure. This slide shows how the incentive grant seeks to do this. So metros, with their balance sheets and borrowing powers, are expected to fund the majority of their infrastructure through own revenues and borrowing. And today, self-funding has dropped to about 50% and reliance on grants is increasing. This is the grey bar at the bottom. This is unsustainable and unacceptable in a metro context. The principle is simple. For every the new performance-based incentive grant, the red layer on the grant, is designed to reverse this trend. And here, oops, what's going on? Whoa, there we go. Here, the principle is simple. For every R1 in incentive funding, metros must commit R1 of their own resources, which is the black layer on the graph. And collectively, this approach is expected to unlock 108 billion in total infrastructure investment, doubling what would be otherwise possible and changing the trajectory and funding profile of infrastructure investment in metros. Access to the grant isn't automatic. It requires clear commitments and a performance plan. To access this incentive, metros must first put the right foundations in place. Each metro must prepare and adopt 3 reform strategies for water, electricity, and solid waste. These must be council approved and integrated into statutory plans and budgets. At the centre is the Performance Improvement Action Plan. This is the contract between the Metro and national government for the incentive. It includes 3 results areas: accountability, financial performance, and operations, with around 30 measurable performance indicators. For all these reasons, this grant is unlike any other. It is designed to reward performance, not promises. Metros with adverse or disclaimed audit outcomes and metros that fail to uphold the 8 minimum accountability commitments are not eligible for the incentive. The first year of participation in the reform enables metros to do the planning to ensure commitment to realistic targets and to get the right skills and capacity in place. Performance against targets is independently verified annually, and the leverage factor, designed to substantially increase infrastructure investment, is built into the design of the incentive. Strong leadership and solid financial planning are the cornerstones of this reform. For this reason, the reform hinges on 8 minimum accountability commitments being in place and maintained throughout the duration of the program. These 8 minimum accountability commitments include the establishment of a single point of management accountability, which is reflected in the 8 brown bubbles on the screen. It's reflected in a service compact between the authority, or the metro, and the service provider, the appointment of a head of the trading service against a job description that reflects all delegations with an appropriate performance contract, and delegations and structures that allow professional utility-style management. M5, a robust financial model and business plan to support the turnaround, and M6, budget alignment and support between the municipal budget for this business plan. M7, financial transparency, and M8, the mobilization of capacity to support institutional change and the delivery on increased capex. Without these commitments being achieved, the metros cannot access the grant. There are 2 that deserve a little bit closer attention. The first is the appointment of the head of the trading service, the single point of accountability, or M2. This means appointing a capable executive with technical and commercial expertise, as well as leadership capability, to run a trading service as a professional entity and to lead a complex turnaround that is likely to face opposition. The executive needs to be in place with the job description meeting the minimum requirements for the delegations and the authority by June 2026. Second, the financial model and business and investment plan. Our assessment of early metro business and investment plans highlighted an urgent need for utility financial modeling, business planning, and target setting. Informed business planning ensures targets are realistic, resources are properly allocated, and investment priorities are sound. This strengthens revenues and cash flow, sharpens investment priorities, and improves operations and outcomes. Realistic business plans must be anchored to and integrated with a financial turnaround model showing what resources are available and what will become available with prudent investment. Financial models with updated business and investment plans and updated performance targets need to be in place in the first year of the program. Together, these provide the credibility and discipline required to secure the incentive funding that our Minister is making available and to unlock Metro borrowing. Without strong leadership and solid financial planning, this reform will not succeed. Mayors, your leadership is critical. We are asking you to champion the reform in your councils and administrations, to approve and oversee the performance improvement action plans, to commit that by June 26, your Metro will have achieved the 8 minimum accountability commitments. There are metros that are in the second cohort that follow 1 year later, and to ensure commitments are not only achieved, but sustained over time. We're also asking you to engage communities and stakeholders so that residents fully understand the benefits and support the turnaround the trading services need to go through. This requires more than compliance. It requires active leadership to keep the reform on track.
Okay, thank you, Anthea. So our last slide. So mayors, this is a chance to rebuild trust and unlock a new era of service delivery in metros. It is an opportunity to demonstrate metro leadership and service delivery, opportunity to build a platform to rebuild public trust in local government, and a vehicle to mobilize large-scale investment into this essential infrastructure. So national government together with the local government can transform service delivery and unlock new growth for our cities and our country. What we are saying, mayors, is that your leadership at this point is a make or break factor for this reform. With your leadership, metros can become credible, financially sustainable service providers. With your commitment, we can transform service delivery and unlock the investment in our cities. Thank you.
Let's give the team led by DDG O'Hara and Anthea another round of applause. No, thank you so much, Madiba and DM Sarupen and Masondo. Let's convey our sincere gratitude to you in response to government decision on reforms. That we are harnessing the potential of all the government approach, working with all our stakeholders to turn our fortune around, like Madiba have said. And because local government, if it fails, we are on the brink of a failed state. At this stage, government has made a decision to do something to support you. When we support you, because we all stay in one locality or the other, I happen to stay in Tshwane. The mayor and the deputy mayor, they know I raise issues all the time. Sarupin, Comrade Doctor, was telling me he stay in Bedford View. Bedford View yesterday, is in a copy there. My sister also stays in Bedford View. I normally get a complaint to say, but why do you have a brother who's a deputy minister of water, there is no water? And yesterday, it was a big issue, whether it is a Guruleni, whether is it Rand water. And we manage those things. At this stage, executive mayors, we are going to be given 10 minutes each to come and respond. But we don't want you to give a political speech. want a programmatic approach. We need to be in a position to hold each other accountable on the commitments we've made, but also equally to support you. But this is also an opportunity to share expertise and experiences as a community that Madiba has provided to you. The team was very succinct, very, very clear what are the expectations. You are our leaders. There were certain tasks that we were supposed to perform. In the main, we want to feel the pulse that indeed you are the champion of the reforms. But you are not only being called a champion in name, but you are called a champion because we are putting your shoulders on the wheel. We are getting things done. The team, the other time we got briefing from the DJs that all of you were supposed to produce the performance action plans and then started to build the institutional capability. The nice thing, there are certain dates that were given. While the DTG were going through the board with Anta, I could see there was a date of June 2025. Now we're currently in September, it's the last week of September. But the full operationalization, I can see there's a deadline of June 2026. But there are certain things that needs to be done now. You can't postpone them. You can't postpone them. I also saw that you are speaking about employment. I hope there was the criteria DTG around who should be the heads should not be a place where we play around. We must send the best of the best so that at least we're able to restore the trust and confidence. In other areas, it will take time, but we must be able to make the first step. Reluctance is no longer an option. It's no longer an option. We need to move. I was trying to look at the list of the metros. We will follow the alphabetical order. We have only 10 minutes. As long as you greet Madiba and then the rest of us, we can be protocol observed. And I'm only going to take only the first four, and then DM Sarupin, you will have to come and take the others. Madiba said we must share. I will start with Buffalo City. That's the first alphabetical order. And then from there, I will take Comrade Princess, you have to come, you have 10 minutes. And then my brother, Louis, is Cape Town, will be the next one. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister. Greetings to yourself and the Honorable Minister, my colleagues, Executive Mayor, and DDGs, and the entire administration that is on this platform. Honorable Minister, we must say that as Buffalo City, we have approved all the trading services, water and sanitation, electricity. The outstanding one is still solid waste. We must say that we're quite excited about this because if you can remember the backlogs that we're faced with, especially in our municipalities, we're one municipality that is a municipality of a special type, unlike Ekurhuleng and Tshwane, we're a rural metro. You can just imagine the backlog that we're faced with in terms of infrastructure. But we must say, Honorable Minister, we've done our study. When it comes to water and sanitation, as Buffalo City, we have done a study. The study for water and sanitation takes us to about 8 billion that we need to fix our water problems in the city. We believe that through these trading services, it will actually assist our metros, especially in terms of good governance. And when we generate revenue within these trading services, we're able to reinvest, especially on water and sanitation. I've got a team of excellent men and women, especially in water and sanitation. Last week we were visiting some of our areas when it comes to water and sanitation. We've got a plant which is called Mzonyana plant around Buffalo City. This plant gives about 60% of our resident water. And we believe that for us to be able to activate some of these water challenges that we have, we need about 3.2 billion, Honorable Minister, to fix that for Buffalo City so that our water challenges can stop. But also in Bisho area, we need about 1.3 billion to deal with these issues. But we must say that, Honorable Minister, there has been some resistance when it comes to labor on these trading services, because some believe that we want to privatize. So we urge that ministers go down to our municipality so that we can have further engagement. But I must say that through these trading services, we've engaged even the private sector in helping us to deal with some. So we're having engagement with different private sectors. But otherwise, Honorable Minister and Deputy Minister, I've already spoken to the Minister, and Minister has alluded that we must come and do a presentation, Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation. We've presented our plans to our DDM champion as well. We can't wait for these incentives. We have a serious backlog, and I would hope that my colleagues can understand that Buffalo City must be the first metro for these trading services to be piloted in. We are not as bad as city of Johannesburg like Dada and others. We are not like the city of Cape Town. We are hoping, Minister Kodongwana, as a ratepayer of Buffalo City, you will start in Buffalo City. Siyabulela kakhulu, Nkosi.
No, thank you so much to our executive mayor for Buffalo City. I can see that you are looking for more money, but when I look at the slide, you need also to make a contribution. One of the discipline of these reforms is to ring-fence money from sales, from trading services. And as long as you don't demonstrate that commitment, commitment just a sec. There was an incident where certain people demonstrated high levels of commitment. There were animals that were naughty. One of the animals was a pig, and then the other animal was a hen. The owner was so angry that he had to teach them accountability, to take responsibility. Then he said, as part of their punishment, to account as a penalty, he said that every time he's going to take breakfast, there must be an egg on the table. And then the other one, there must be a ham there. And then you know what? After those, the animals complained that the sentences were too stiff. But the chicken was complaining that every day she must lay a hen so that this farmer will have an egg on the table. Then the other one needed to produce bacon. The one who said was supposed to produce bacon said, mine is very stiff. I must pay the highest price, which is the premium, which is death. Because there will never be any bacon unless I give my life. We don't want you to give your life, but we want you to actually demonstrate the first step. Manje ngezwa la Comrade Princess ufuna 8 billion. We will have a discussion when you come to Comrade Pemi, DMC Tlul and myself, Sarupen and Masondo and Madiba. We will check how much water you're selling and how much are you ring fencing. we want a higher percentage to be kept for trading services to sweat the item. Ningayiceli imali is R1 per R1. You must be able to demonstrate your commitment. Let's allow City of Cape Town, my brother, Louis, to come and do his commitment and opportunities.
So, thank you very much, Minister, and Deputy Ministers and colleagues, fellow mayors. For those of you who know me, I am not one that often wears a tie. I try to avoid wearing a tie as much as I can, actually. In Cape Town, we try to encourage informality in our dress. But my late father used to tell me one thing very clearly. He used to say, "You don't have to ever wear a tie unless you are asking for money. Then you must wear a tie." Then you must wear a tie. So in honor of my dad, I'm here to ask for money and I'm wearing a tie. So Minister, Cape Town is extremely supportive of the program. We completely agree with the outcomes. We think it's the right thing for South Africa, healthy for all of our cities, and we will participate very enthusiastically, and we are participating very enthusiastically. And we will meet the deadline that you have set for those first 8 commitments for June of 26. All of our trading service plans are already council approved, and those 8 core outcomes will be met by June of 26. And I think it is the presentation that we just had from Anthea, an excellent incentive to have this kind of matching grant system, and we would love to match to make sure that we have additional capital investment. I think all 8 of us here are struggling with massive infrastructure challenges and a huge growing informality in our cities, growing urbanization, and the need to mobilize additional infrastructure funds is something that occupies a large portion of every single day in my life, and I have no doubt that that's true in these 7 other mayors' lives as well. I must say, Minister, that we've taken some public pain. I know that you read the papers. We've taken some public pain in trying to participate in this reform early on and to ring-fence the finances for our urban waste management utility or trading service by removing the subsidies that they used to receive from our energy trading service. And we've been happy to do that because we really believe it's the right thing and that we'll see it through. But we'd also love to hear National Treasury talking about this program more publicly. That's not to say that we expect you to come out batting for any one city or the other. That might be too much to ask, but it would be nice to get some of this discussion into the public domain as well. Because when we try and explain to members of the public who just see a new line item on their monthly bill that we're trying to respond to what we think is a worthy outcome, that's a tough gig. I promise you, it's a bit like trying to explain a 0.5% VAT hike. So then there's just a couple of things that we want to alert you to that we feel are contradictory from other parts of government. So this is the right outcome. This is the right direction of travel. We should be all supporting and following this direction. But there are some other departments, as often is the case, that are working in a kind of contradictory direction. So, for example, if you want to have a single point of accountability for each of your trading entities, then the local government staffing regulations from COGTA they don't add a great deal of sense. They're a little bit nonsensical because they actually limit your ability to have a single point of accountability for each of the trading entities. Similarly, if you look at some of the proposals out of NERSA, and indeed our 2 water deputy ministers are here, some of the proposals to add additional regulatory entities in the water space, those things have not worked in the power space and in other utilities there's no guarantee that they will work in water either. So please be assured of our support and of our competition. We will compete fiercely for that, for those incentives. We will match them. We will try everything possible to expand capital expenditure in Cape Town and infrastructure investment in Cape Town. And we also assume, just finally, that any success that any of our 8 metros will have in attracting that incentive grant will not simply be matched by cutting other conditional grants, so that there's no overall increase in funding. That would be a nasty trick. So we assume in good faith that the current conditional grants will continue, and that this will be additional financing to direct purely at infrastructure. But with that said, you have our full support. Thank you.
No, thank you so much to the Executive Mayor. We are taking notes on issues of binding constraints so that we make it much easier in terms of the imperatives and ideals of Operation Vulindlela, whether version 1 or version 2, they must be removed. But including issues of being self-sustainable. Local government as an idea was always meant to be self-sustainable. We'll look at that. At this stage, Comrade Doctor, the Executive Mayor of Guruleni, you'll have to come through. Probably before, that's why I did that. I'll take the first 4 before Sarupen comes in, because he was going to ask you about Bedford View. But the nice thing was not part of those who were protesting there yesterday. But Bedford View too, they say Riluna Ribat, they too, they deserve access to water. Let's allow Eguruleni to have the floor. Thank you. And give Madiba a watch.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Minister and Minister Madiba, and the fellow mayors, all protocol observed. DM Surapen, I think it's good to learn that you have now moved from Actonville to Bedford View. It means this upward mobility from council to parliament. Things are happening. But the issue of DM Mahlobo of Bedford View is serious. Rainwater must assist us. And I'm sure we'll have that conversation. Now, the reforms, I must indicate, Honorable Minister, that we do support this initiative, and we're appreciative of this particular engagement. In my life as the mayor, it's the first time that I'm interfacing formally with National Treasury, and it's something that I've been raising from time to time, that over a series of engagements that National Treasury is doing with officials, but they don't engage with the political leadership, so that we have then a buy-in. We can then articulate and lead this type of innovation. And I'm sure in my life in council as MMs of finance, and it's the first time that we get to be engaged on these initiatives. We support them, and council has actually done a few approvals, including the A3, which includes the performance improvement action plan. So there has been a buy-in from the entire council, and of course I must indicate that some of the challenges that we've been able to overcome, I mean, our losses in the energy sector because of ICT takeover of the function, we were able to address them through this intervention. We've now agreed one stop of accountability in the energy department. And I can tell you now, first quarter we've turned around because he is now in charge fully of that function. There's no corporate ICT that is gonna come and take over the functions without the HOD of energy having that approval. So some of the things that we'll have to be guided on that we're struggling with is how do we capacitate, how do we ensure that some of the corporate functions, because the CFO will remain. I don't see ourselves immediately getting a CFO for the department, whether you call it a financial director, whatever form in terms of ensuring that there's a proper, because we opted for the BU, business unit model. So if you're gonna do business unit controlling, what type of capacitation, while we have an SLA that we have, I mean, my cost, for instance, as the mayor, he will have to pick up a few of my costs and the mayoral committee, because we go to communities and resolve tariffs. We're in Tembisa, we spend the entire weekend talking about tariffs. And what model for the time that council spends and the cost that it gets to pick up and all that. So those are some of the things where we say we do need a capacity, a unit, because he's an engineer, he won't be able to champion this reform. We do need a capacity, someone who has worked in carve-in departments, carving out, structural, so that we can quickly move. We're told that at some point that National Treasury is able to assist with that capacity. If you can give us a bit of money, we recruit the right person, we put the person there to assist us to fast track the reform, the institutional reform, so that we can then quickly move to ensure that we've got the right structures that are responsive in terms of this model. The other areas where we think we must go, labor, LLF. With the COGTA institutional reforms, we were made to believe that engagement happened at the level of COGTA with the labor, the collective bargaining. And these are some of the things that we raised at SALGA with our meeting in Cape Town, to say we were meant to believe that that engagement happened, but we then delayed in finalizing the institutional review because you must then engage labor. And I can tell you, because we're structured, energy is structured, they've got depots, they've got all those structures. You must then bring them along so that there are members who will be affected and all that. Because we've done the energy, the water without any issues. But when you go to waste, because our structures were different, there's waste, there's environment, historically that now we have to take them out. Take out so that we can then focus on the waste issues like grass cutting and all those things. Now it calls for labor, because once you move in there, the conversation, labor start to tell you, no, you can't touch on these things and all that. So that is one aspect, and I'm happy that we are lifting this one of stakeholders into this. The last issue that we want to raise is the issue around unfunded mandates. Because we've got mandates that our communities are expecting us to do over time. How are you assisting us to get the other national and provincial department to take over their responsibilities? Because I carry 1.4 billion of health services. The cost that I pick up. We build clinics over time with some arrangement. In that arrangement, nurses who must staff up, medical maintenance of clinics and everything else. We used to get this money, of course, from the little that we get, in particular from electricity. The bit that NERSA gave us as a surplus. We then, because water has been struggling. We can pay rent water, but the entire cost, we've been struggling to recover properly. Waste, it's worse. And we get to see it now, that the waste area and all that. Now, unfunded mandates just on the clinic, including just on the waste model. I mean, with the growth of communities in Gauteng, the people come here every day, they find themselves in backyard dwellers. We use, our waste model, collection model, is on the basis of the tons that you collect per household. But you go to each and every household, there's not one family there. There's backyard dwellers, there's 4 or 5 other families. So these are some of the realities that we say, if we engage much closer, we're able to bring them to say, even at a point where we expect cross-subsidization and all those other things, it's conversation that we'll need to lift up so that we are then assisted to manage better. But the overall strategy of what we want to achieve, we fully support Minister. Otherwise, if you give me more time, I will start to put my own issues here to ask for money. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much from our Executive Mayor of Eguru Lane, except that he has decided to put us under the bus, DMC Tluli, introduces Rainwater here now. And Sarupin will look at us now. It means we will have lunch together, because our ability to respond timelessly to the cries of our people must be our second name. When they say there's a failure of an asset, it must never take us long to respond. We must respond promptly, but also meticulous. I'm surprised that you have not met National Treasury. I know the minister stays in your metro, and it does not actually have a run out of water because it stays closer to rainwater there. He was saying to us that Sarupe. We want to advise the DM Sarupin that you must come closer to rainwater there. You will not run out of water. But thanks for adding the other constraints that you have added. We will take them, especially the issues of labor management around the reforms, including unfunded mandates. We will look at that. And the mayor of Cape Town, he forgot to say that he stole one of our best engineers. He looks more efficient. He took one of our best engineers. We'll do a counter for him to come back. At this stage, I'm going to do the last one. Then from there, DM Sarupin will do the remaining 5. And is it remaining 5 or 4? 4. Then from there, we'll go to a closed session. Then I will come back and then ask Madiba to do reflections. He's taking copious notes, and the deputy ministers and mayors will do that. I would want to call our executive mayor for eThekwini Metro, Ubaba Unonkosi. They've done well after he went there to eThekwini. And you know that even the presidential working group were very pleased, except that Madiba, Unonkosi has a tendency to make me an ex-official official. When he was doing this plan, he actually took out me to see the plan so that I can say, does it make sense or not? Nonkosi, with your team, I can see the portfolio here, Chair Ubamkosi is here and everybody. Thank you very much. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Program Director, DM Mahlobo, Minister, all other DMs present, colleagues, executive mayors, all senior government officials, thank you very much, and protocol observed. I also stand up to make our commitment as the city of eThekwini that we fully embrace the Metro Trading Services Reform program. We have approved all three strategies in water and sanitation, energy management, and cleansing and solid waste. With respect to water and sanitation turnaround strategy, the city has further approved the institutional and governance roadmaps, business and investment plans, as well as the performance improvement action plans. That's where I engaged the DM just to seek his views on it. The model chosen by the city is Model 2. That is for the establishment of separate trading services business units for all three water and sanitation, energy management, and solid and cleansing and solid waste. True to the strategies, Minister, like I said, the trading services will be converted into a business unit or business units to remove multi-points of accountability and create a self-contained unit with a single point of accountability. Of course, to achieve that, it means that we must decentralize some of the functions that are currently shared, like SCM, that is supply chain management, HR functions, and the units must take full control of their ICT fleet, their fleet, as well as the yellow plants and so on. As leadership of the city, we will ensure that there is a well-orchestrated succession planning, and improve conditions of service in order to not only attract but retain skills in the city. I'm told that the city of Durban has the highest concentration of engineers, and that's what I'm told. And Johannesburg as well. Again, just to expand the skill, we are offering bursaries to students in the relevant field of study as part of the strategy to build new skills, because we've got to build new skills, including in the fields of AI. And so we are introducing forced repairs, but that is still under discussion. And so we have insourced plumbers to ensure that we deal with, we reduce non-revenue water. And we also meter, because we think this is critical. Meter, rural, informal, and stand pipes, so that we account for every kiloliter of water we spend on indigent communities. I think the other day we received a letter from the minister, countersigned from Minister of Finance, countersigned by the Minister of Culture, saying, but we release money for free basic services as part of equitable share, but we don't get a sense that the money we are releasing, all of it is spent to fund the indigents. So we'll also ensure that all three utilities maintain the right level of competencies, and we fill all the key funded vacancies. So colleagues, I will go to town explaining what we are trying to do as part of underscoring our commitment to ensure that these reforms succeed, because we think if they succeed, the city will succeed and the country will succeed as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mayor of eThekwini. Our next up speaker is from the city of Johannesburg. And I went to university in Johannesburg, of course, so it's also very close to my house. So both Ekurhuleni and Johannesburg, dear Matlobo, I have much deep feelings for, so I'm going to welcome the city of Johannesburg up to discuss their trading services reform. Thanks.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and greetings to our minister and the finance and the two deputy ministers from water, fellow mayors, fellow councillors, and of course the administration. Let me start, Chair, by indicating that we have welcomed the former Premier of the Western Cape, who's attending our council meeting this morning, to learn a few things about how we do things in Johannesburg. So, Rakhadi Helen Zille is in Johannesburg to attend our council meeting. Perhaps let me start by saying we do stand as Johannesburg in welcoming the engagements of today first and foremost. And clearly we have made our commitments to support the process in terms of the trading entities reforms. And Johannesburg fully support, and you'd know that already in 2000, Johannesburg had already moved to establish entities. This is water, Joburg Water, City Power, energy business, and of course our waste business being picked up. So those, they've already been established by then in 2000. So Johannesburg would, at this current moment, our commitment is really to start re-engineering some of the governance models within our entities to ensure that they can align with the current situation and the current trading reforms as introduced by National Treasury. So I don't want to take much of your time because we have made that commitment as Johannesburg. We have done what is required in terms of the turnaround strategies. Both entities, three entities have already approved. They were approved by council and have already been submitted. So we think we are on track. We've completed all the necessary requirements that National Treasury has so far requested, except those that we still focusing them towards 2026. And we are making clear commitments on what needs to be done, so the plans are in place. We've made the following commitments to ensure that we operationalize and ring-fence financial system. I think it's a discussion we had with the minister 2 months ago when he wrote us a letter with the media interpreted as the minister whipping the mayor of Johannesburg. I don't know if you remember that letter, Minister, which we responded adequately, because part of that is to try and see how we respond to ring-fencing financial systems within the city, and of course strengthening project delivery in relation to the work we are doing now on these trading entities. But what is our ask from the minister? I didn't put a time, Minister. I'm not coming to beg for money, but for the following issues that will improve on our oversight and coordination of intergovernmental relations to help us achieve what we need to do, ensure that province, COCTA, SALGA, and all other institutions gives us the necessary support and guidance, and also to guide us on governance arrangements to ensure that we can achieve what needs to be done. And the last part is Operation Vulindlela. If they could continue to provide technical advisory to us, it will really help us to achieve what we want to achieve as the city. And of course, in trying to summarize in conclusion, Chair, we hope that as the city, you'd know that we've got quite a number of challenges, especially on infrastructure issue. We would want to continue to work on issues around institutional accountability, but this also refers to our governance structures, which we think requires re-engineering, requires support, because most of our boards may not necessarily have the necessary technical expertise and skills as part of those that are appointed in our board. So we want to re-engineer that and get the right people to to help us to turn around this thing. And we do have a plan of action, which we have demonstrated between this period and this period. This is what we are doing. So I won't go through that. We'll just share with you as part of our reporting on what we are doing. I think, Chair, it covers the issues that we had expected us to cover this morning, unless I've left any other issue, but I think I've covered all the issues that require us to be covered here. Yeah, I guess I just have to speak to what is required. Program Director.
I see the Mayor of Johannesburg is also not wearing a tie, and he didn't ask for money. So the Mayor of Cape Town's observation there is correct. If we can now welcome the Mayor of Mangaung Metro Municipality from the Free State Hub.
I'm demonstrating fitness. Minister, good morning. And may I say all protocol observed. Minister, I come from a waterlogged city called Mangaung. We are serviced by 4 dams. We suffer a high degree of turbidity, erosion, and we are also having dams that are silted. Desilting those dams would cost us fortunes, as silting took its own duration, perhaps not even measuring my age. We have welcomed the initiative and took the venture to the council and endorsed. And we are at a point where by June we'll be indeed covering point 1 and 2 with the intention to ensure that a service level agreement is developed between the city manager and the assigned individual that would be heading the entity. We have also worked hard to ensure that the solid waste is addressed, and we hope to conclude it in the next financial year, 2027, whereas on water and sanitation, we are at the point of ensuring that by June next year we are done, in accordance with the 8 minimum points mentioned in the presentation. I must indicate, Minister, that in our vicinity we do have an entity that deals with electricity. That's why I'm not going to waste much time on it, except to say our hard work is to ensure that we align it with the initiative to ensure that it really does meet the requirement as outlined by the Department of Finance. Minister, I must indicate that for us to be able to deal with the issue of non-revenue water, we would need an amount to the tune of 6.8 billion. I've heard what Ntate Mahlobo said, but to also deal with sanitation would need a whopping 3.4 billion rand. I'm coming from a city where 79,000 of sanitation is non-waterborne, of toilets, 79,000. And of the 79,000, I've got 50,477 of pit latrines that still exist, and the balance would be others that relates to buckets and other related services that we need. Now, to eradicate this, that's the amount that would be looking for, 3.4 billion rand that we'll have to work to realize. Now, I've had the minister introducing a competitive edge where metros would be way on the basis of their performance. I think it must be on the basis of the balance of probabilities with respect to where we are now. It cannot be that the richer metros will be looked with that eye, that because they are rich, and I spoke to Cape Town to say, unfortunately, we produce business people, they invest in our metro in terms of production, but the investment really takes shape and form in Cape Town. I still want to emphasize that point. So we remain the poorest of the poor, despite the fact that the resources in terms of production take shape from where we exist. So when that competition is actually introduced, a positive discrimination in favor of the balance of probabilities should be taken into consideration. I'm saying that, Minister, in a way to try and say, you would understand that we are a metro that is trying to survive itself out of Section 139, subsection 7A and C. So on that basis, you haven't even come handy to intervene with Section 154 in a way to put us at par with others. Now, Minister, there is a facility that comes from your department, BFI, which we have applied and which other metros have survived out of it, and we are still questioning ourselves as to where are we standing, and would that be now be regarded as pound to pound as introduced by me, Deputy Minister Mahlowe, because we need to test the department to say, yes, we are willing and able to be part of the main scheme, but please, those that are behind, can they retrospectively be considered and be attended to by given department? And I'm saying this based on the realities that obtain on the ground. Other than that, Minister, we are really echoing the same sentiment as other metros to say, not only is our buy-in, is our fiduciary duty to ensure that we indeed cooperate to the fullest. We will indeed go all out to ensure that whilst the process is unfolding, we improve on our collection and merge the pound-to-pound kind of attitude that Ntate Mahlobo placed before us. It's very heavy, I must indicate, from our side, but if it shall have to be that my officials and my MMCs, as well as some officials, junior and senior in the metro, shall have to sell their belongings to the point of their wives, of course, in order for us to be able to match the requirement, we'll do our best. But other than that, I would like to thank this occasion and thank the Minister, the team, for really coming so handy, and we will have to, Minister, Nicodemously, find our way to present our case based on the one Section 39, so that you understand that we came at a point, we are at a point as a metro where we spend sleepless nights trying to ensure that the metro becomes what it should be. Thank you very much, Ntate Mahlobo.
When we get to the closing of this session, before we go into the closed session, I will discuss some of the ways around the 139. But let me welcome up our next Metro Mayor from the Gqeberha, Nelson Mandela Bay Metropolitan Municipality. Please stop.
Thank you very much. Let me first greet our Honorable Minister and state that all protocol is observed. It was the instruction. So I don't want to break that instruction. I think as a Nelson Mandela Municipality, we have embraced Honorable Minister the trading reforms. As a result, we've embarked on a journey where on the 22nd of July, our trade unions were in one workshop with us and the Treasury to take them through on the reforms and the benefits of it. And as a result, on the 24th of July, Council took a decision to accept all three trading services for the three departments. And subsequent to that, we have highlighted a number of areas that would enable the process to run smoothly. Firstly, the fact that we must now go back and revise our organizational structure. And secondly, speed up the integrated ERP system, cost accounting and ICT investment being the priorities. And as well, the process has also exposed some of the limitations we had in water and sanitation. The unit is affected by the review of the organizational structure, because it would mean that all of the people that we want to employ are outside of the structure. We've got to also improve the billing system and also how we manage our assets, the rehabilitation of strategic infrastructure in water, and also the funding of the capital investment in the, which should be sufficiently covered by the reforms. And we are also saying this will also improve our response on service delivery matters and put more attention on the informal settlements. One would remember that our informal settlements have now grown to 179. And on electricity, it has highlighted the following, that in terms of the capital investment for critical infrastructure, we should ensure that there's certainty in supply to industry and residents, and as well asset renewal and replacement. And also it will help us to curb both technical and non-technical losses on electricity and vandalism and sabotage associated with it. So around the solid waste, we would need intervention, because we've been waiting for the approval in terms of the landfill site, which we have applied for on the Department of Environment nationally. And this is now urgently needed, because for us to comply, we would need to sort this matter out. And as well, it's also going to help us to focus on recapitalization on waste fleet to improve efficiency and refuse collection. Minister, this is by means of accepting the reforms as Nelson Mandela and trusting that National Treasury will walk the path with us to make sure that when we roll out this fully, the assessment is going to be done quarterly, so that we don't falter along the way. Other teething matters, I think they will be suitable for the closed session or a separate session with our municipality. But overall, we embrace the reforms. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nelson Mandela Bay. Last but not least, we are in the capital city, and so let me welcome our home mayor, the Mayor of Tshwane.
Yes, Minister. We're still dealing with the E-funded budget, so anything counts as a revenue collection. Good morning, Minister, DMs, fellow mayors, senior management of different metros and National Treasury. The disadvantage of being the last one is that everything has been said, Minister. So I'm just trying to see the points of emphasis. As the City of Tshwane Minister, we also embrace the reforms. I think as council, the principle that we've adopted is that anything that is going to help our country move forward, please count us in. So we have adopted the 3 reforms. We have started the implementation of those reforms. In Tshwane, the business unit approach, it has helped us to deal with the fragmentation in service delivery. We had a situation where the bulk infrastructure planning was on one department, repairs and maintenance lies in 7 regions. And that fragmented the way that we provided services to the people. I am so happy to see the colleagues, the officials of Tshwane embracing this approach, because they now can work together as one team, and we have flexibility in how we build our teams, and we are more agile in terms of how we respond to services to the people. So for us, it goes beyond just adopting a reform because National Treasury said you must do so. We have embraced it because it speaks to the challenges that we have. Minister, I want to emphasize what we are solving for, at least from the perspective of the Tshwane Council. We are facing a growing population. We have been expecting it, that in Africa, we were told by 2050 about 90% of the population would have moved to urban areas. And as South Africa, we are not isolated from that. But, Minister, there's a point, I don't know, DM Mahlobo, what you were trying for when you said don't make political speeches. We can plan for accounted population, Minister, but we can't plan for unaccounted population. We need help. In Tshwane, we do have a plan going up to 2050. If we go according to the projected population, and the reforms will help us to develop the infrastructure that will cater for those residents, but help us with those that we don't know that they are even in our cities. The second thing, Minister, we have a sluggish economy as a country. And we know that the approach with metros is that we are the first child. I don't know that experience. I'm almost the last born at home, so I don't know the concept of being a first child. But that's the approach, that metros must be sustainable, must be independent. But that independence comes from economic development. We must grow our economies. And so as National Treasury and different departments, you can't isolate yourselves when we are trying to improve our economy as cities. The infrastructure development, Deputy Minister, I mean, you would know in Tshwane that the parts that were former Bophuthatswane, former this, they've not fully integrated in the city of Tshwane. And how we'll know that they're fully integrated is if they have access to the services that other parts have access to. So for us, we have set what is our 10-year demand? We need 58 billion rands. Minister, we are friends, don't worry, Tina, so it was 58 billion rand in a space of 10 years. And that's what we need just to deal with the backlog. But also there are practical challenges that we have. Our landfill sites are quickly running out. We're quickly running out of space for landfill sites. We've got non-revenue losses, the old infrastructure, the issue that the infrastructure that we have is not meeting the demand. But also our revenue collection is shrinking because our economy is not growing at the pace that it's supposed to. We have more indigents than the people that are paying for services in most. So we are not rich in Tatewase Mangaung. We are indigent like you. Tshwane is indigent like Mangaung. But what we have done, we have approved the 3 reforms. We have started building capacity. We've even reached out to other partners like Rand Water, where we can see that right now we don't have the necessary capacity. We have approved the macro structure in terms of reflecting this on the microstructure as the council so that we can continue with the microstructure. We have started the change management because I don't believe that it's a once-off thing to do. So labor is fully involved. We have also extended to the residents just to explain what is it that we are trying to do. But I can confirm, Minister, that the deadline of June 2026, will be fully met by the city of Tshwane. In terms of the R1 on R1, we will cry, but we will do it. We will do it cryingly. But there are things that colleagues have mentioned that I just want to emphasize as the way forward and maybe where you can help us, Minister. I have tried to rank them. Minister, for us to meet the R1 on R1 ratio, we need support on the tariff reforms that as the different municipalities are embarking on. We have seen in the news, I'm sure you've seen in the news, when Joburg was under attack for introducing a fixed charge, we are under attack for introducing a city cleansing levy. No one from province or national is talking on our behalf. Please. Zange ndandikuncedisile. Minister. Next time, consult metros. Will support you. Are a very supportive group as metro mayors. But Minister, on a serious note, if we are unable to implement tariff structures or tariff reforms that we need, we're not going to have the revenue base that is sustainable. The second thing is something that Mayor Lewis and I think Mayor Xhakaza mentioned, the issue of the work that COGTA must do with us so that we are able to be compliant, because when we don't comply with COGTA Minister also sends very strongly worded letters that we are not complying with the regulations. The other issue that I needed, not necessarily for today, but we need to be innovative about how we finance, because the funded and the unfunded mandates that Mayor Xhakaza was talking about, it takes a bit of money. Now, for us to be sustainable in that R1 on R1, we need to be innovative in terms of how else do we finance infrastructure. The issue of the private sector, we have started in Tshwane just to model the different ways in which we can involve private sector in that. But I think what is also important, Minister, because some of these things have been mentioned, is the issue of National Treasury also taking very keen interest on economic development that is happening at the metros and the different ways in which we can be supported so that we have the economic development contributions that we need to make to our national GDP, but they don't happen out of the sky. When we propose things that we think are innovative, we do need flexibility in terms of the legislative reforms, especially from the side of National Treasury. So those are the points that I thought I became the last born of the metros today, but I thought those are the points that we needed to emphasize. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me go through some of the remarks briefly before I ask the Minister of Finance to come and present his observations. And I'm going to start where the Finance Minister started, and that is that reforms come with short-term pain, but long-term gain. And taking that short-term pain very frequently deters the implementation. So I'm quite heartened that every single mayor that has come up here today has said that they are prepared and are championing the trading services reform, because the truth is that our core services are critical to long-term municipal sustainability as well as economic growth. Urbanization, as the Mayor of Tshwane pointed out, is a trend, and it will continue and accelerate. And in this context, getting trading services right will require trade-offs in every one of our municipalities. And to go back to the Finance Minister's initial points, what are the key things that we need? What are the key things that we can do without, and what are those trade-offs? And that is going to be absolutely critical. Now, in listening to all of the comments, I did a little bit of quick desktop research, and I found that in Namibia, they only spend 6% of GDP on local government. We spend 7.7%, but they get better outcomes. In Lesotho, they spend a fraction, but Maseru produces far better outcomes for services than we do. And so we need to ask, across Latin America, similarly, we don't spend as much on local government in these places. Those countries don't, but get better outcomes. And so we need to ask ourselves, what is it that they are getting right? And that's usually efficiency, confronting and eliminating corruption, appointing talented people, and I'm very heartened to hear the mayors speak about getting the right people into heading their trading services and getting the right skills, and entrenching a culture of maintenance. And if we can get those things right, I think our trading services can function very, very strongly. I've also heard the various mayors say they want more engagement with National Treasury. The Intergovernmental Relations team is planning a roadshow to every metro municipality, and we will be able to then engage you in more depth on each of these areas, and as well as other areas of concern. I think the point was strongly made around corporate functions and reducing fragmentation in our service delivery framework. And I think the Mayor of Ekurhuleni made the point that you're not going to not have a CFO tomorrow morning, and that this is a transition over time. And I've heard the point as well about reforms on COGTA regulations, which we will also need to take further. The point around unfunded mandates is well taken, and I know the Intergovernmental Relations team of the Treasury is looking at this in detail as well to understand and map out the scale of unfunded mandates, because that is taking resources away from core services, ultimately, which we need to solve. And then lastly, on the communications and the issues around tariffs and tariff reform, the truth is part of the short-term pain that we need to take is that residents have gotten used to paying for services without knowing they're paying for it, because we've put it into electricity, we put it into the surpluses for water, and now that we introduce transparency into the system, they're seeing a new line item for the first time and not understanding why they're paying for something that they feel they weren't paying for before, but they actually were. And so this is a transitionary process. In my case, for example, because I live in an apartment complex, my bill this month for the first time had refuse removal because it was historically linked into my property rates directly. So this month my rates are down, but my refuse removal bill is up. It's for the first time as a separate line item. And that's important because I know what I'm paying for. And we might end up in a system where we have more fixed charges and fewer variable charges, but it does mean that our services become sustainable. And that's absolutely critical in the long run, and we have to collectively educate ratepayers about the fact that we are introducing transparency into their billing. Now, I've, of course, lots and lots of requests around financing and the fiscal needs out there, and of course the finance minister made the point that we have a sluggish economy that needs to be growing. And in the short term, the Metro Trading Services system means that money comes from reform implementation. If the eight mechanisms are met, there is money available in the system, and the better municipalities perform in reforms, the better they will be able to access some of this funding. And the more strongly they perform then on infrastructure build, the more they can access things like the BFI. And that is absolutely critical. So I think it's important to see the trading services reform process as a virtuous cycle, and the better we do it and the better we get at it, the better we will be able to access financing. So with that said, let me now ask the Minister of Finance to come up and provide some closing remarks, then we'll go into our closed session without any cameras. And at the end of that, please don't leave. After the closed session, we'd like a photograph with all the mayors and the minister. Thank you.
You must not be like ESCOM. This month, I got a bill from ESCOM of 96,000 from my farm. When I said, but I've been paying all these years, they said, no, we've never been watching your meters. We're just second guessing how much you have spent and send you a bill. Now we've done proper thing. So we're backdating whatever we have not paid. That's ESCOM. No, colleagues, I'm also like my dear, excited and thrilled that we've been able to do what we've done today. And they've said, even in his open remarks, said the same thing I would say You can see when you get into Treasury, we match the ideologies. He's not thinking DA anymore. So, if I listen to you all of, if I were to meet your requirements, I would have to have a 40 billion per annum. I would have to have 40 billion per annum, which translates to 120 billion rand over the MTF. That's what, if you give the total of what you have said. The exercise we're doing with municipalities on this thing is part of the broader budget reform. As part of the broader budget reform, we're doing a similar exercise in what is called spending reviews, but the officials have given it a sophisticated name called TARS. It's an abbreviation called TARS. I don't know, I can't tell you all those abbreviations, what do they mean? I know what is supposed to do. We're going through all the national departments, department by department, cutting waste. It's a painful exercise. Our colleagues are resisting. We're doing it at national level. We're saying, let's cut waste. Let's also look at how our institutions work. Reform them. Reform them. The Department of Sports, Arts and Culture has got about 27 institutions. What are they doing? All of them funded by the fiscus. We've got to close some of them. It's going to be a difficult period to do those things. If you take a developing institution called NEFSAS, nobody doesn't know about it in this room. What does it do? It was employed, it was created to provide infrastructure like accommodation and pay students and pay the universities for students. Now, the Department of Higher Education can easily do that and give the department, the university their money. Why do we need a third party? The worst thing they've done is to say, although they're employed to do that work, they've employed service providers. So what I'm trying to say, the key thing we need to do, if we're not going to increase taxes, we've got to cut expenditure. But how we're going to do it, let's start by cutting waste. It's a battle, then it's not an easy task that with our colleagues in the various departments. I've taken note of the following, which some of them I need to raise with my colleagues. The unfunded mandate, particularly in health services. We've got to look at what Jadine was raising about the contradictions between the different government policies in the regulatory framework, which will use that. There's an issue you have not raised, that we don't pay you as government. You have not raised that issue, that government, in terms of they owe you for rents, they owe for you for this. When I was in Mangaung was saying the provincial government owes them 2 billion. You have not raised that issue. It's an issue that needs critical attention. Minister Hlabisa and I we're going to be presenting a joint memo to Cabinet. People who don't pay each other. Treasury must take the money from their account and give them. So Minister Tlhabisa and I are doing that. Somebody has raised bursary for students. My request, these students which are funded by municipalities, some by provincial government, and some national departments, what we've found is double dipping. So got a bursary from you guys, is approved by NEFSAS. So what you need to do is to make sure that there's coordination in that work. On the BFI, Jordine is good in making submissions. He normally gets the stuff. What? And then people say we're biased towards the Western Cape. If your proposal is not substantively correct, if you want it to, I would like you to go to the DPAC first. There's a project prep division there that can help you make your own proposal for BFI, so that we should do that. Human settlement, we didn't talk about that. Human settlement. Most of their grants come back not spent. I'm inclined to say, yes, here's your amount for human settlement. You'll get it on the basis that you can provide a bankable projects. Because we go to the market and borrow this amount, and when they come here, they're not spent. So an incentive structure, what we're talking about for human settlement, will also be important. There's this issue of population growth. In every 100 people that come to South Africa, 51 remain in Gauteng. In every 100 of them, 51 remain in Gauteng, let alone the internal urbanization, let alone the internal urbanization when people move from different parts of the country, which is normal, they come to Gauteng, which is a difficult. Whether illegal or not, because the Constitution says South Africa belongs to all who live in it, which was a grave mistake. Do you know this origin of this thing? I remember in the old days, in the 80s, I remember in the old days, we used to fight with other groupings outside. They call us charterists. We call them Amazimzim. Amazimzim used to say, you guys are wrong. South Africa cannot belong to everybody. They use a word I can't use in this meeting. It's something that belongs to everybody. Now, I say Amazimzim were correct, man. In the Constitution, we should at least limit it to citizens, because that clause was responding to a particular period, to a particular issue. Now, we've got all of these people rocking up into this country. And legally, you can't say, I can't provide you with services. Can't provide you with services. I just visited Zanzibar. I was caught in the airport when I come inside. They say you won't go in here unless you take an insurance. We took an insurance right on the spot, because they want to make sure that if anything happens you while in Zanzibar, the state does not carry your cost. The insurance company does. So Africa, anything is possible. No, the issue of immigration has got to be debated objectively. When you say, we should not be saying people who are arguing, some of them are arguing from a xenophobic We're not urging from it. People must come to our country legally. People must come to our country legally. The ones that are sitting here illegally in the country, surely we should be sending them home. We should be sending, our resources are limited, colleagues. We have had an economy which has been declining since 2014, and per capita has also been declining. When I say per capita, I mean one person for South Africans, I don't including others. Our rand is declining compared to what we've had. Now we've got others, we're claiming in the same rand. That thing should be discussed objectively. As I'm about to leave, what says, or urbanization. Added to this dilemma of these people, there's massive internal mobile urbanization, which I'm talking to the issues you're referring to. You have all got all these squatter camps, and people go into a squatter camp. They become first in the queue, and there's somebody who have been in a backyard for years. Because they put themselves in front of the TV, they get services ahead of others. I think as political parties we need to discuss the culture. And two things we need to discuss as political parties. How are services going to be rendered if there's not going to be revenue raising? Municipalities can't raise levies. National government can't raise taxes. How are we going to serve this service of a growing population? That discussion needs attention. Lastly, another controversial point to me. Another controversial point. I was with the President yesterday. I said, Mr. President, if you can send me to the Eastern Cape as a premier, I would have 5 departments. Sure. Maybe I should not say this thing, because it applies to you. You are spending more on thinking that you are going to attract investment and so on. If you sort your city, be habitable, you've got a good infrastructure, you've got all of those things, there's no crime, there's anything, investment will flow. But you can spend all of your money if people know that in your city, the city is high. So the focus for all of us is that infrastructure. But let me thank you very much for this meeting and appreciate it. They said after the closed session, we're going to have a photo session. Now I appreciate to have a photo with mayors is a big thing for me. Thank you very much.